Welcome back to Murder Made Fiction, a podcast that looks at fictionalized adaptations of true crimes. I'm Joe, and I'm joined, of course, by Amanda as usual, but we have a very, very special guest. So we are joined today for an exclusive interview with author and archivist Erik Rebain. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Honestly, I think we're like delighted. Amanda has been fangirling for about a week
I
about this.
have. I have been fangirling really hard. I'm pretty sure Joe and I had a conversation just this morning where I said, I really hope I can talk and not turn into and not just freeze.
You're doing great so far.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's a big research girly, so this means a lot to her because, folks, if you
Yes,
don't recognize Eric's name, you should go back and look at the credits for our Swoon episode. And I think pretty much nearly every
every
episode that we
episode.
did on Leopold and Loeb. So the big thing was that we ended up using a lot of your research. And so, Amanda, I'm going to kick it over to you to ask our first question.
Yeah, we've got a few questions for you about Leopold and Loeb. But let's start with the basics. What drew you to the Leopold and Loeb case to begin with, and what made you stick with it? Because I feel like you've been researching it for a decade.
hmm Yep. So I first heard about it actually in a high school English class. We watched a documentary about it, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting, you know." And then I didn't do anything with it for a year, and then I picked up a book, like a nonfiction book, and I read that, and I'm like, "That's interesting, but I want to know more." And so I started reading more books, fiction and nonfiction, and I'm like, "But I want to know more." So I started reading like the trial transcripts, which are online, and a couple of the psych reports, which are online, but I needed more. So I started going to archives, and I've now visited like 40 or 50 archives all around the
Oh my God.
country. And I've interviewed like dozens and dozens of people. Yeah, I wrote a biography. I have a WordPress, which is extensive and I keep adding to. As to what keeps me here, I think part of it is momentum. Like I've been doing it for so long, I'm just going to keep doing it. But there's just so much to discover. Like there's so much that I still don't know that I'm still curious about. And I think kind of in the last 5 years, I've also kind of pivoted towards the fictionalizations, which works perfectly with your podcast, because there are like over 100, there's like around 200 fictionalizations of this case. And they've been, for over a century. And so it's fascinating looking at the history of like those early fictionalizations from 1924. What are the characterizations like? What are the issues that they care about? And then to today, and how has that evolved over time? So, yeah, it's just endlessly fascinating for some reason. I'm not even really into true crime, but this case just draws me in. I don't know.
I feel like
No,
everybody has one, right? Like something
Yep.
that either gets you in or one that just monopolizes most of your time. Like I just can't stop thinking about that one.
I get
hmm
it.
hmm
I mean, this is literally my first month taking over as co-host on Murder Made Fiction. And when Joe and I were having our preliminary talks, this was the first case that came to mind for me
hmm So
as like
why were you interested in it?
almost similar to you actually. Is it something I discovered when I was in high school? And I also think in high school, would find a lot of just queer historical stories. So I was obsessed with the trials of Oscar Wilde and all of
Mhm.
that. And it was in a history class that this came up, and I was just fascinated by it. Also the relationship
Yep.
element and the toxic push and pull there. So it's something that stuck with me. And then when I joined this podcast and Joe said, "What cases do you want to cover?" This was the first thing that I said, "Yeah, this has always been on my mind. So
hmm
let's go
hmm
there."
That's awesome.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, you have been doing this a very long time. So, maybe this is a bit difficult for you to recollect because it's been so long. But what were some of the preconceived notions that you had going into your research? And then what has continued to surprise you as you have spent, years studying this
hmm
case?
So I think I had a pretty typical view of it at first, especially because I was reading like the fiction and the nonfiction at the same time. So I kind of had that idea of like Loeb is kind of the worst one, like And like Loeb loved crime, Leopold loved Loeb. Like that's kind of what you see,
Yeah.
you know? Especially as I was like, I read some of the nonfiction in Leopold's autobiography. I was like, oh, he rehabilitated. Once Loeb died, Leopold rehabilitated, and he was a good guy. He like turned his life around. And then when I was doing the archival research, I was reading through because he left like 50 boxes of his letters from his time in prison and when he was eventually paroled when he was in Puerto Rico. He left like 50 boxes. So there's like thousands of letters. And I was like, he never talks about Bobby. He never talks about remorse. He never talk except when he was trying to get paroled. But
Right.
like,
Mm-mm.
oh, he never really and he'll make jokes about the crime. The only time he ever talks about it is either to make jokes or to be like, I shouldn't have had my life wasted in prison. Like, not that I shouldn't have killed Bobby, but
Right.
I
Yep.
shouldn't have been sent to prison for that long. Like they took my life away from me. And I'm like,
Hmm.
hold on a minute.
Wait.
This doesn't seem like a guy who's like totally like remorseful and rehabilitated and like realizes that he even did anything wrong. So I kind of started re-looking into the facts. And I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a lot about because I've read your book now. I've read your most of your WordPress. I've also read his autobiography. And
Hmm.
we've discussed a lot about taking it with a grain of salt, that you're right.
Hmm.
The obvious idea going into it is Loeb loves, and there was a quote from someone who was following the trial, and I believe you quoted it in your WordPress site, that a woman wrote a letter back home, and basically what she said is, all I know is that Leopold's not a murderer, but Loeb is not queer.
A homo, yeah.
And
Jeez.
it's yeah, and it's so fascinating because in his autobiography, reading him talk about the crime, which he does
Mhm.
not go into,
No. Mm-mm.
and I know you, Joe, you and I have talked about this a bit. We talked about this morning, but performative, that
Hmm.
he is acting, and he's barely good at acting remorseful.
Yes. He's really, I mean, he did trick a lot of people into thinking he was, but specifically when he's talking about it in his book, he didn't want to, those first six
Hmm.
chapters where he talks about right after the crime through the trial, he did not want to do that. He fought his editor tooth and nail for like 6 years until finally they convinced him you cannot start in prison because that's where he wanted to start his autobiography. They're
Just
like, you
wipe the crime
cannot
away.
start it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
Just
do
like I'm not even going to
anything.
talk about it.
Oh
They're
my
like,
God.
you have to address it. So it is him performing badly and him realizing, like, there are plenty of letters to his family and his editor, like, I don't know how to talk about this. You need to walk me through this. Like, you need to
Oh my
really,
God.
if I'm coming across badly, you need to tell me how to talk about this.
Well, you have a letter that he wrote at the beginning of your book when, after he's been paroled, he's on vacation with his wife and he's
Mhm.
writing back to friends. And the letters that you excerpted in your book that he was writing to friends, I
Mhm.
was just kind of shocked by what he was saying to
Mhm.
people. Like, there is no idea of remorse. It's like, I'm so glad I took this trip. I'm really glad I didn't die, you guys. It's great. This
Yes.
was all worth it. And I'm just sitting there reading that excerpt thinking, that's what you're thinking?
There's no clue.
Mhm.
No clue,
Yeah.
right? It just doesn't
Mm-mm.
compute.
No, not at all.
Eric, can I
Uh,
ask a quick follow-up before we move on to our next question?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we've mentioned your book. We should mention it specifically by
yes.
name. So Arrested Adolescence,
Hmm.
which is principally about Leopold. Is there a reason why you wanted to focus on him? Is it because you feel like the narrative has gotten lost and that people do think, oh, Loeb committed the murder and Leopold was queer?
I think that is a good reason, but the actual reason is there's not enough information to write a book about Loeb.
Okay,
I would love to write a book about Loeb, but like Leopold left 50 boxes of material, his lawyer left another 50 boxes. He lived so much longer. I was able to talk
right.
to people who knew him. Loeb died in 36. I have not
Mhm.
talked to anybody. The family does not want to give information, you know. So it would be impossible. So
Okay.
I did want to, kind of dispel the ideas about Leopold and actually kind of like talk about what he was actually getting up to in Puerto Rico. but I would love to do a Loeb book. It was not because I like Leopold more or anything like that.
Okay.
I do believe there's a great nephew on the Loeb
Mhm.
side who has
Yeah,
now
Ernie.
talked. Yeah, but again, it's still not that much. His family would not talk about it. He discovered it later in life.
Exactly. Yeah, the I have talked to one family member who was alive at the time that Loeb died, but had never met him.
Mhm.
And it's just like when I've talked to members of the Loeb family, they were just like, "Yeah, we didn't talk about it. I don't know.
No.
We didn't talk about it." So
Wow.
Which is very
Uh,
rich person way of approaching it too, right?
it is kind of sad with the Lobes because they were so supportive while Richard was alive when he was in prison. They visited him all the time. They were just like the mother, especially Anna, was so proud of him, like writing letters and helping him get the school started and all these different things. And then he dies in this way that like just completely slanders his name, that he's like this gay rapist and all this stuff, which is not true. That's,
nope.
you know, it's just it was a very homophobic way to spin that. And then the family
Yeah.
was just like, he murdered someone. We
We're
stuck with him. We
done.
got over that. It's whatever. And then now his name is plastered all over the place. We can't even mourn him in peace. And they were just like, we're done. We're not talking about it.
Yeah.
Specifically with the family members I talked to, they were like, don't mention it to, your grandmother or your parents because it will make them very sad. They don't want to
Right.
think about it. So,
Yeah. Okay, so as you mentioned, you have followed the fictionalized adaptations, which has been very helpful for us in figuring out what are fictional adaptations we might not know about, where are they actually pulling from fact, and what is
mhm,
totally made up. So, of those, what is your favorite one and why? It doesn't have to be the most accurate, just the one that
mhm.
you are drawn to the most.
My favorites tend to be the ones that are just so far away from the case, they're their own thing, right? Like the rope or the scream. Uh,
Those
like
are ours as well.
like I really like the Austrian version of Funny Games from 1997. The Secret History is like very slightly based on them, the book by Donna Tartt. Um, so
Oh.
like Native Son by Richard Wright, which is just like a classic of literature, also, based on them. The defense in that book is like almost copy paste from
Oh
the
my
Leopold Loeb
God.
defense.
You mean the
Folks,
Yeah.
if you're
12
not watching the
hour?
video, Amanda's face is like jaw dropped right
I
now.
have a very expressive face. Constant subtitles of my face.
Mhm. But yeah, like those are probably my favorite because those are like good, like
Yep.
independently outside of Leopold and Loeb, those are good. In terms of like the ones that use their names, I do like John Logan's Never the Sinner, which is a play. And then I really like there was a series of three plays that were done by this little theater group, and they were not published and they weren't like they're not online, but I reached out to the woman who wrote them and she sent it to me, and they're so meta and weird, and like they use other pieces of fiction, and there's like two or three actors play Leopold and Loeb at the same time doing
Oh.
different things and interacting with the
Oh.
audience. And I love it. It's
What's
so
it
great.
called?
So there's three of them.
Okay.
And let me see, it's Leopold and Loeb, Get It Up, Leopold and Loeb, A Goddamn Laugh Riot, and Leopold and Loeb are dead now. And I love them so much.
Oh
Okay,
my.
theater investors, let's get this mounted. Let's do
Bring them
it.
back.
Hmm.
I'm in New York. Let's get this going.
Yeah, there is also, oh my God. So Roberto, I don't know how to pronounce it, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, like
Oh
Riverdale
yeah.
man,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
he did a
yeah.
play in which Archie Andrews was in a relationship with Nathan Leopold. And he did this way before he was attached to Archie at all. He did this before he
Right.
was writing. He did this before Riverdale. I need him. You can do this. Publish it now. Like you can do it now, Roberto. Please. I
He's got the
need.
credibility. Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
do it.
Joe, that's the new Leopold and Loeb adaptation you've been asking about.
Yes. Yeah, because we speculated
So,
whether it could ever come back and if so, in what form. But okay, maybe follow up on that question. So those sound great, but also relatively inaccessible. So is there a lesser known adaptation that you would recommend that people can actually get their hands on?
Never the Sinner is available. That is
Okay.
in print. It
okay.
can't be watched, but you can read it. And it's actually like it gets performed pretty much every year somewhere. So
Hmm.
I would recommend Never the Sinner by John Logan.
Okay.
Okay. Where do you stand on Swoon? I do need to ask because
Mhm.
that, I mean, so much fact checking. And that was me and Joe really debating, like, oh my God, I'm going through the fact check. I'm so excited. I had it open as I was watching the movie, and Joe was very much like, Amanda, just watch the goddamn movie.
My feelings on Swoon are like, I like it. I love the conversations around it at the time. Like, I love the debate that especially gay people were having. Like, is this the representation we want right now? Do we really want to be represented by these gay murderers and stuff like that? So I like
Answer,
those
yes.
conver Yeah, yes. And yeah, and Tom Kalin is very openly, yes, of course.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
have to, these were real people. Like, and gay people can be anything. So
Yep.
let's show it. And I like it. I am not super into the artsy stuff, and
Oh,
I don't love the acting, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
So yeah, I like Swoon. I don't love Swoon. So
okay.
Fair.
See, it was the artsy stuff that I loved, the new queer cinema element of it
yes,
that I
it's
was just like,
definitely
ooh,
different. It's definitely
yes.
different, and it
Yes.
stands out. But I'm like, I don't even understand what you're trying to tell me. I still don't understand him pulling birds out of his pants. I can't get that
Artsiness.
artsiness.
Um, so I think you've kind of touched on this, but I guess are there other true crime cases that intrigue you, or is this is just the one? This is your white whale almost to reference something else.
Yes. I would say, yeah, like in the past, like especially when I was a teenager, I did like other cases. I do like Jeffrey Dahmer or like Armin Meiwes. Like I don't know why I like cannibals, but I do like cannibals. But no, this is real. I haven't really
So what about
touched true
Army
crime.
Hammer?
No, I'm
Boo.
not
Get
touching
out of
Army
here.
Hammer, not touching it. And I real cannibals only, please.
We don't have this written down, but I'm going to ask a follow-up question because I feel like there are a lot of parallels, and Amanda is desperate to cover In Cold Blood.
I
Do
am,
you feel
yes.
like there's a kind of connection, like a spiritual element that I don't know, almost transcends those two texts?
Well, I really saw it with funny games. That's where I say, like, I
hmm
feel that this is pulling from the two cases almost.
hmm hmm I have not looked into the real case at all. All I know about In Cold Blood is I watched Capote and
Hmm.
I have tried to read In Cold Blood, but it was so clearly fictional. Like
Mhm.
if something is pretending to be nonfiction, but it's just so clearly like, and they were thinking this, and this person I've never met was, and I'm like, I can't do this until I do more research so I can tell what you're making up. So I have not looked that much into it. I've seen the cases compared, right? Like I've seen them compared, but I don't know enough about.
Joe, do you feel like you're just
Yeah,
talking to another?
I was like, oh, okay, Amanda, you're fired. We're just gonna have Eric come in because that's literally the exact answer that she has given me multiple times. She's like, I just can't handle it. If it's too fictional, I need them to just say that it's too fictional and you're not even
Thank
trying
you.
anymore.
Yes.
Well, it feels disingenuous to me. I'm okay when it's
hmm
fully fictional. You're going somewhere else, but when you're saying this is the real story and then it's so wildly different,
hmm
what are you trying to tell me with this?
Yes, completely. Complete and especially when you're using the real names. And with criminals, it's like I can see the argument of like, well, they're bad people, so whatever, even though I don't
Mhm.
agree with that. But you're also using a lot of other people,
Hmm.
and you're just making things up, and you're making people believe things about those people that are not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, we've run into a lot of, not just with this case, but other cases, bad depictions of mental health care or
hmm
excusing people's behavior by pinning it on a poorly thought out depiction of mental health care. And
Yes.
that always rubs me the wrong way. Like, ooh,
hmm
well, now you're attributing a personality disorder to someone who doesn't have it to excuse their behavior, but also to vilify them in a different way and to stigmatize mental health care. I don't like
Completely.
that.
Especially if people never know someone in their real life who has this mental illness,
Yeah.
and then they just assume, oh, I
Hmm.
saw that in a movie, so that's how these people are. They're crazy killers. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh my gosh.
All the time, every time.
Yep.
hmm hmm
And clearly, we've all gravitated towards the queer killer movies and true
Yes.
crime. I mean, Nighthawk Cinema by me in Brooklyn just did a whole month Be Gay, Do Crime.
I love it.
appropriate.
I do too. I do too. I'm so sad I didn't get to go see Wild Things when they programmed it, which is really be bisexual do crime.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, Eric, that is the end of our questions, but we would love you to plug yourself.
Hmm.
So tell us, where can people get a hold of you? How can they access your
Mhm.
book? What is the name of your book once again, and so on?
So this is my book, Arrested Adolescence. It's actually, I found out you can't really order it on Amazon in hardback anymore, but you can order it from my publisher's website, Bloomsbury, if you want to do that,
Okay.
or like get it from your library. Like you don't have to pay for it. As for like me, I have a WordPress, the Loeb and Leopold WordPress, and there's like my email address is there, and a contact page, a comments page. Please talk to me. I love to talk about this case. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
One final thing, you
Mhm.
recently posted that you're gonna look back into the fictional adaptations.
Yes, I'm hoping to do like a full, trying to be chronological, reread, rewatch, re-listen of
Wow.
all of the fiction. So I'm actually like in front of my Leopold Loeb bookcase right now. So like
Oh, wow.
this is all fiction. It's based on them. These are these are little dolls that were merch from the musical. There's a musical. There's also an opera. But like, so that is my goal to like do a re go through, and I'm gonna try to talk about some of the more prominent ones. I don't know if that's going to be on YouTube or just on my WordPress. My cats wanting to get in the way. um, but yeah, because I would like to write a book about the fictional adaptations. So that's kind of going to be my
Nice.
next project, hopefully.
I
Amazing.
love that.
Hmm.
I want to know what all of the adaptations are. I am
Hmm.
Joe can tell. I'm over here like, oh my God, yes, what?
What's holding you back? Why haven't you started already?
Yeah.
I have like 50,000 words written, but I overwrite everything and then I like cut it down.
Naturally.
So,
Yeah.
Hmm.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm. But I was interested, having done this podcast so much and having looked at, fictionalized true crime over the years. Have you noticed trends? Like, because I noticed you mostly kind of this podcast kind of sticks with like the 90s and the 2000s and stuff. But have you noticed, oh, from the 50s and 60s, there's a lot of this kind of stuff. And then the 90s, you start to get this. Have you noticed anything like that?
60s is bad mental health care rep. Really
Hmm.
obsessed with
Hmm.
pop psychology. It's very
Absolutely.
on the heels of Psycho.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
Yeah.
think actually now looking forward, now that I've joined, everything we're doing moving forward is really old.
Yes.
Because I'm a legit history
She's an old
girl.
school girly,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, Joe knows this. I've been on his other podcast, Horror Queers, to talk about pre-code and Hays
Yes.
Code cinema. So, I mean, I
yeah.
brought you guys some weird pre-code stuff that nobody really needs to watch, but I've watched it, so.
Hmm.
Perfectly
So
fine.
everyone
Yeah.
else has to be exposed.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I would say the big thing that I've noticed is that as we make more contemporary texts, people are doing a better job of recognizing we should talk a little bit more about the victims. And also, we should try to include fewer white men of a certain age and a certain sexual orientation. Like, I think there's just an acknowledgement that the story is not particularly interesting if you only ever focus on a detective or an investigator or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm. So that's good. That's like a good
Yeah, it's
evolution.
a bit of
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby steps.
Baby steps.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wh-
that is something that has not improved with this case. Like no one cares about Bobby Franks. Like
Yeah.
he is not a character in anything.
Yeah,
He's just not, people
I
are not
think
interested.
part of that is also that it was just he was chosen almost at
it's
random. It's
random.
not
Hmm.
about him. And then you have so much that's been written by
Hmm.
Leopold, all of the trial transcripts, the psychologist evaluations, and the relationship at the center of it. And that's what gets people.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's just not much known about Bobby. And so like
Yeah.
you have to make stuff up if you wanted to write about him, and it's like, well, is that really
Yeah.
more respectful? I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
He was probably just a normal kid.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Just a,
Wrong place, wrong
14-year-old.
time. And
Hmm.
yeah.
He was walking alone and not hanging out with friends, and that literally was the defining factor.
Hmm. Yep. Just had to get one person alone.
Oof.
Mhm.
Okay, well, happy way to end this. Eric, thank you again for being so generous with your time and honestly for providing us with a wealth of information. It
Mhm.
was very, very helpful to be able to go to your website and be like, well, let's just take a look at what Eric says.
It was
Yes.
my pleasure. That's what it's there for. So I'm glad you used it.
It was a treasure trove that I was so thrilled to discover. Clearly.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop it there or else she'll keep going. So,
Mhm.
Sure, I will.
yes, this has been lovely. And okay, until maybe the next time we chat or when you want to give us an update
Mhm.
on how your work is going, we'll leave
Mhm.
Please
it
do.
there.
Absolutely. And if Ryan Murphy ever decides to cover Leopold and Loeb on
Dear God.
Monster, I will be back.
Guaranteed it will happen.
You will have to join us just to cover that entire season,
Right.
I would. I would love that.
which Ryan Murphy do it, but also please don't do it.
Mhm.
Don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
God, no.
dodgy, dodgy. Okay, okay. We'll leave it at that. And until then,
Mhm.
let's leave the murders on screen.